I'm Luke Summerhays, and I love Munna. Visiting the numerous temples around Japan, there are certain things one inevitably sees. The large entrance gate, the telltale slanted roof, the altar where one can pray and or leave a donation. At bigger temples, you might see stands selling charms and calligraphy, or a small museum. Not quite universal, but still common, are the ornate wooden carvings on the buildings. Dragons or phoenixes are common over the entryways. At the corners, ferocious oni might look on in similar ways to gargoyles in Western churches. And sometimes, these are replaced or joined by Baku, odd-looking creatures with elephant-like trunks. The Baku is a creature in Japanese folklore, supposedly made from leftover animal parts. In modern artwork, it often resembles a tapir, and the tapir in Japanese is named after the Baku. The Baku eats one's nightmares. Sometimes this can go too far, making for a horrifying creature that inspired Drowsy and Hypno. More often than not, though, the Baku is a source of comfort, and that gives us Munna. Munna is an adorable round pink creature with a small tapir-like nose and a purple flower pattern on its skin. It floats in the air and looks out with big red eyes. As one might imagine, it is a psychic-type Pokemon. Pokemon Black tells us, Munna always float in the air. People whose dreams are eaten by them forget what the dreams had been about. And Black 2 and White 2 tell us, this Pokemon appears before people and Pokemon who are having nightmares and eats those dreams. Or Pokemon Sword tells us, late at night, it appears beside people's pillows. As it feeds on dreams, the patterns on its body give off a faint glow. In Pokemon Black and White, Munna can be found in the Dream Yard, an abandoned research facility where some kind of psychic sleep research was being performed. Naturally, the Pokemon ties into the Dream Radar 3DS minigame and the Pokemon Dream World online portal. The name, Munna, is the same in Japanese and English, with Mu being the Japanese for sleep, and this being combined with Luna. This all implies it should be pronounced Munna, but those two N's say otherwise, so I'm going to stick with Munna. Pokemon White tells us, it eats the dreams of people and Pokemon. When it eats a pleasant dream, it expels pink-coloured mist. And Pokemon Shield tells us, it eats dreams and releases mist. The mist is pink when it's eating a good dream, and black when it's eating a nightmare. Perhaps we can learn more about this mist when, exposed to a moonstone, Munna evolves into Musharna. Another common sight at a Japanese temple is a large incense burner. Like everything in Japan, the burning of incense has a very prescribed, ritualistic version in which some people prefer to engage. Incense is heated in a special censer called a koro. These often have a flowery pattern on them, very much like a Munna. Musharna is a larger creature than Munna, with a more pronounced tapir-like nose. It floats in a fetal position, seemingly asleep, with pink smoke billowing from a spot on top of its nose. It's a less pink colour with a pale head and a purple body. Pokemon Black tells us, the mist emanating from their foreheads is packed with the dreams of people and Pokemon. Or Pokemon Sword tells us, when dark mists emanate from its body, don't get too near. If you do, your nightmares will become reality. And Pokemon Shield says, it drowses and dreams all the time. It's best to leave it be if it's just woken up, as it's a terrible grump when freshly roused from sleep. Perhaps Musharna would be grumpy if it woke up, but we rarely see it. This is a bulky, tanky Pokemon, which hardly seems to feel opponents' moves. The name, which again is the same in Japanese and English, takes Munna and incorporates musha musha, Japanese onomatopoeia for eating something. Sleep and dreams are actually things modern science still knows very little about. Who's to say the Baku isn't coming around to eat our bad dreams? Music for Luke Loves Pokemon is composed by Jonathan Cromie. Artwork for the show is by Katie Groves. Musharna and Munna were designed by Atsuko Nishida. Writing, producing and editing is by me, Luke Summerhays, while funding is provided by lovely listeners at patreon.com/podcastiopodcastius. Next up are P-Dove and Blitzel, so if you have thoughts about those or any other monsters, hit me up with a DM or an email to lukelovespkmn@gmail.com. If you like this podcast, please rate and review wherever you're listening, or tell a friend. And if you want to hear more Pokemon chatter from me, come by twitch.tv/lukelovespkmn, most Saturday nights from 9 PM UK time. Even if you don't feel like doing any of that, thank you so much just for listening. I love Munna, and remember, I love you too.